The sight of 17-year-old Tyler being led away in handcuffs while his mother screamed at the police officers is something I'll never forget. Karen Wilson stood there in her perfectly pressed blazer with her HOA President badge gleaming in the afternoon sun, her face red with fury as she jabbed her finger at Officer Martinez. "You can't do this. I run this neighborhood. I know you're captain," she shrieked with a voice that could shatter glass. Tyler just smirked over his shoulder at the gathering crowd of neighbors, his cocky expression unchanged, even with his hands cuffed behind his back. "This is all a mistake," he called out with the same arrogant tone he'd used for weeks. "My mum will have me out in an hour." The neighbors who'd spent months afraid to cross Karen were now peering from behind their curtains and front doors, watching justice finally catch up to the family that had terrorized Maple Grove Estates for far too long. But let me back up a few weeks to when all this started. I just moved into this pristine suburban neighborhood with its manicured lawns and strict HOA rules posted on every corner. At first, I thought I'd hit the jackpot with my new house on Elm Street until my packages started disappearing. It began innocently enough. I'd order something online and the tracking would show delivered, but nothing would be on my porch when I got home from work. I figured it was just delivery mix-ups or maybe porch pirates from outside the neighborhood. After all, this was supposedly one of the safest communities in the city, with Karen Wilson's iron-fisted HOA keeping everything in perfect order. The third time it happened, I decided to ask my neighbor, Mrs. Chen, if she'd seen anything unusual. She was trimming her rose bushes when I walked over, and her face immediately grew nervous when I mentioned the missing packages. "Oh dear," she whispered, glancing around as if someone might be listening. "You should really check with the Wilson boy. I've seen him walking around the neighborhood quite a bit lately." She wouldn't say more, but the way she looked toward the big house at the end of the street told me everything I needed to know. That evening, I invested in a doorbell camera and waited. 2 days later, I had my answer. The footage was crystal clear, showing Tyler Wilson casually strolling up my walkway in broad daylight, snatching my package like he was picking up his own mail, and walking away without a care in the world. He even had the audacity to whistle. While he did it, I watched the video 3 times, my blood pressure rising with each viewing. This wasn't some desperate kid stealing food. This was the HOA president's son treating the neighborhood like his personal shopping mall. I marched straight to the Wilson house, package theft evidence loaded on my phone, ready for what I thought would be a simple conversation between reasonable adults. Karen opened the door wearing her usual powers suit and that condescending smile she reserved for people she considered beneath her station. "Well, hello there, new neighbor," she said with false sweetness. "What can I do for you today?" When I explained about the stolen packages and showed her the video, her expression shifted from fake friendly to ice-cold in seconds. "That's quite an accusation you're making," she said, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "And frankly, I find it insulting that you'd come to my home making wild claims about my son." I tried to stay calm and reasonable, explaining that I had clear video evidence and just wanted my packages returned and the theft to stop. Karen's response was to cross her arms and give me that look she probably practiced in the mirror, the one designed to make people back down and apologize. "Tyler is an honest student and captain of his debate team," she said with the tone of someone explaining basic facts to a child. "He would never stoop to petty theft. Perhaps you should look more carefully at your delivery confirmation emails before making accusations." Then came the threat wrapped in HOA speak. "I'd suggest you choose your battles very carefully in this neighborhood. As president of the Homeowners Association, I take false accusations against residents very seriously, especially when they target outstanding young people like my son." The thefts didn't stop, they escalated. Over the next week, Tyler grew bolder, taking packages in broad daylight and even having the nerve to wave at my camera once. When I caught him red-handed walking away with my neighbor's delivery, I called out to him from across the street. His response chilled me to the bone. "Hey mister," he said with a smirk that matched his mother's arrogance. "My mum runs this whole neighborhood. I'm basically untouchable here. Maybe you should think about moving somewhere else if you don't like how things work in Maple Grove Estates." The kid actually laughed as he walked away with stolen property, completely confident that his mother's position would protect him from any consequences. That's when I realized this wasn't just about package theft. This was about a family that believed they were above the law because of a petty neighborhood title. I started reaching out to other neighbors, and what I discovered was both shocking and infuriating. The Hendersons had lost 4 packages in the past month. The Johnsons were missing a birthday gift for their daughter. Even elderly Mr. Peterson had his medication stolen from his porch. Every single person I talked to had suspected Tyler, but was too afraid of Karen's retaliation to say anything. She can make life very difficult if you cross her, Mrs. Chen explained when I asked why nobody had reported it. Last year, she tried to find the Smiths $500 because their grass was half an inch taller than HOA regulations. I convinced 6 neighbors to join me in documenting Tyler's activities and gathering evidence. We set up a group chat and started coordinating our observations. Within 3 days, we had Tyler on multiple cameras stealing packages from houses across the entire neighborhood. The evidence was overwhelming, showing a clear pattern of theft that had been going on for months. Armed with this proof, I requested a meeting with the HOA board to present our case and demand action. Karen's response was swift and predictable. She scheduled a meeting for a Tuesday morning when most working people couldn't attend, then spent the entire session dismissing our evidence as doctored videos and coordinated harassment against her family. This is clearly a personal vendetta by residents who don't appreciate the high standards I've worked to maintain in this community, she declared to the 3 board members who'd shown up, all of them her longtime supporters. When I tried to play the video evidence, she ruled it inadmissible and threatened to fine anyone who continued what she called defamatory behavior. The meeting was a complete sham, but it taught me an important lesson about dealing with corrupt, petty tyrants. You can't beat them by playing within their rigged system. You have to go around them entirely. That evening, I gathered all our evidence, organized it into a comprehensive report, and drove straight to the police station. Detective Sarah Martinez listened patiently as I explained the situation, reviewed the video footage, and examined the documentation we'd compiled. "This is actually pretty impressive police work," she said with a slight smile. "You've got multiple angles, timestamps, and clear identification. We can definitely work with this." The investigation moved faster than I'd expected. Within 2 days, Detective Martinez had interviewed several neighbors and confirmed the pattern of theft. She also discovered that Tyler had been selling some of the stolen items online, which elevated the charges from simple theft to organized retail crime. When she called to inform me they'd be making an arrest, I have to admit I felt a surge of satisfaction. "We'll be picking him up after school tomorrow," she explained, and given the evidence, we're confident about prosecution. I happened to be working in my front yard when the police cars arrived at the Wilson house. The sight of Tyler being read his rights while Karen screamed at the officers was better than any movie I'd ever watched. "This is harassment," she shrieked, as her son was placed in the back of the patrol car. "I'll have your badges for this. Do you know who I am?" Detective Martinez remained completely professional, calmly explaining that Tyler was being charged with multiple counts of theft, trafficking in stolen property, and organized retail crime. The look on Karen's face when she realized her HOA title meant absolutely nothing to real law enforcement was priceless. The neighborhood erupted in celebration that evening. People who'd been terrorized by the Wilson family for years were finally free to speak openly about their experiences. Mrs. Peterson started a petition to remove Karen from the HOA board, and within 24 hours, it had signatures from over 80% of the residents. The same neighbors who'd been too scared to report package theft were now lining up to share stories about Karen's abuse of power, illegal fines, and harassment of anyone who dared question her authority. Tyler's court date came faster than expected. Due to the overwhelming evidence and his decision to plead guilty rather than drag his family through a lengthy trial, the judge sentenced him to 6 months in juvenile detention, 2 years probation, and restitution to all victims totaling over $3,000. Karen's face went white as she watched her untouchable son led away to begin his sentence. The judge also ordered community service specifically focused on property crime prevention, ensuring Tyler would spend months explaining to other teenagers why theft isn't worth the consequences. Karen tried one last desperate plea about her son's bright future, but the judge cut her off.